The galaxy had burned for so long that no one remembered what peace sounded like anymore. Stars that once guided travelers now lit the graves of the fallen. The war between the humans and the Arkel Empire had eaten whole worlds. Metal ships clashed like gods in the void, and the ground below turned to dust and ash. Lieutenant Ethan Hale stumbled through the ruins of Vega 9, a planet once covered with green valleys and blue skies. Now it was nothing but broken stone and dying fire. His suit was cracked, his left arm bleeding, and the oxygen warning on his helmet blinked red. The air smelled of iron and smoke. He could hear the distant thunder of ships dying above, their burning parts falling from the sky like shooting stars. He had no plan, only the will to live a little longer. Every step felt heavier. His boots sank into the soft ash, his breath came in short, painful gasps. Somewhere behind him, an explosion tore the ground apart, throwing black dust into the air. Ethan dropped behind a half-melted wall, clutching his rifle. His body shook from exhaustion, but his heart still beat strong. He was a human soldier. He had survived worse. Then he heard something strange. Not the sound of machines, not the roar of guns. It was soft, like someone crying. Ethan frowned and followed the sound through the smoke. He pushed aside the twisted remains of a fallen drone and stepped into a small clearing, surrounded by crystal trees. Trees that still glowed faintly blue, even in death. There, lying in the center, was a figure. She was not human. Her skin shimmered faint silver under the smoke-filled sky. Her armor, white with gold markings, was cracked open at the side. Glowing blue blood leaked out, staining the ground like spilled starlight. A small crown lay beside her, broken in two. Her long white hair spread around her like a halo. Ethan froze. He knew that crest on her chest plate. She was Arkel royalty, one of the very beings his people had been fighting for years. His training screamed at him to stay away. His orders were clear. The Arkel were enemies, dangerous, ruthless, heartless. But when her eyes opened, everything inside him went silent. They were glowing like distant galaxies, bright, trembling, filled with fear and pain. Her lips moved weakly. "Please, don't let me die alone." Her voice was soft, fragile, almost human. Ethan hesitated. He should have turned back. He should have left her there as the war demanded. But he couldn't. Something about that plea, something in her tone, cut deeper than all the wounds on his body. She wasn't a soldier in that moment. She was just someone trying to survive. He took a slow step forward. "You're bleeding bad," he said quietly. "You need help." The alien girl blinked at him in confusion. "You would help me?" Ethan nodded, even as his heart pounded in his chest. "I'm not sure how, but I'll try." He knelt beside her. The ground was warm from her glowing blood. He tore a strip from his undersuit and pressed it to her wound. She gasped in pain but didn't push him away. He could feel her life slipping with every second. "Stay with me," he whispered. "Don't close your eyes." Her breathing slowed, her pulse faint beneath her cold skin. Ethan's hand shook as he tried to keep pressure on the wound. It wasn't working. He cursed under his breath, wishing for a medkit, a miracle, anything. Then something impossible happened. The moment his bare fingers brushed her skin, the bleeding slowed. The blue light around her wound flickered, and then began to seal itself. Her skin shimmered as if it were weaving itself back together. Ethan froze, staring in disbelief. "What the hell?" The alien girl looked at him through half-open eyes. "Your touch. It heals me," she whispered. He didn't understand it. He only knew one thing: if he stopped, she would die. So he kept his hand there, holding her tightly, ignoring the pain in his arm and the exhaustion in his bones. As the stars burned above and the war raged far away, a human soldier sat in the ruins of a dying world, holding an alien princess in his arms, his touch the only thing keeping her alive. And in that broken silence, something changed between them. Not friendship, not yet, but something far more powerful was beginning to wake. Ethan stayed by her side until the storm of ash settled. The silence afterward was deep, broken only by the faint hum of her breathing. The alien girl's wounds had closed completely, though her skin still glowed softly where his hand had touched. It was as if her body remembered his warmth. He leaned back against the fallen tree behind him, his arms shaking. He had seen 1,000 strange things in space, shattered moons, burning ships, alien storms, but never something like this. His touch had healed her. It made no sense. Humans weren't supposed to do that. The girl stirred. Her eyelashes fluttered like white feathers. Slowly, she opened her eyes again. They were bright and deep, 1,000 shades of blue and silver swirling inside them. When she saw him still there, her lips curved into the faintest tired smile. "You stayed," she whispered weakly. Ethan gave a small shrug, forcing a half smile. "Didn't have anywhere better to go." Her gaze softened, though confusion remained in her voice. "Humans are not known for mercy," he chuckled quietly. "Guess I missed the memo." She tried to sit up but winced in pain. Without thinking, Ethan reached forward and helped her rest against a rock. His movements were careful, gentle, like handling something sacred. He could feel her heartbeat through her armor, steady now, strong. "What's your name?" he asked. Her eyes flickered, uncertain. "Liara," she said after a pause, her voice trembling slightly. "Daughter of Queen Serath of the Arkell Empire." Ethan's hands froze. A princess. Of all the aliens he could have found bleeding in the dirt, it had to be royal blood. "Great," he muttered, rubbing his face. "I just saved the enemy's princess." Liara tilted her head, a faint glow lighting her cheek. "Would you have left me if you knew?" He looked at her for a long moment before replying. "No. Doesn't change a thing." For a while they sat in silence. The war above them rumbled faintly in the clouds, the sound of ships and death too far to see. Ethan found a canteen on his belt and offered it to her. She looked at the metal container curiously, as if she had never seen such a simple thing. When she took a sip, she flinched at the taste but didn't stop. "You fight against my people," she said quietly, lowering the bottle. "I fight to stay alive," Ethan answered. "There's a difference." Her eyes softened. "My people were told humans are savages, ruthless, unkind." He gave a tired smile. "And I was told your kind were monsters. Funny how lies sound the same no matter where they come from." A small, fragile laugh escaped her. It was the first sound that wasn't pain or fear. "Maybe not all humans are monsters," she whispered. Ethan looked at her wound again. It was smooth now, glowing faintly where it had healed. "I still don't understand how that happened," he said. "When I touched you, the bleeding stopped. That's not something humans can do." Liara's expression grew serious. "Our healers can use light to restore flesh, but only our own kind can channel it. Your body has no light energy. It should be impossible." "Yeah," Ethan said softly. "That's what worries me." He looked at his hand, still faintly glowing gold where her blood had touched it. He flexed his fingers. No pain, no burn. Just a strange warmth that pulsed like a heartbeat. Liara studied him with those bright eyes. "Maybe there is something inside you that even your people do not understand." He laughed quietly, though it didn't reach his eyes. "If that's true, I hope it doesn't kill me." Her voice softened. "You saved me. Whatever this power is, it came from kindness. Do not fear it." They sat together in the ruins as the first pale light of morning touched the horizon. The world around them was silent, broken. But for the first time in a long while, Ethan felt something that wasn't despair. Liara leaned back, her head resting lightly against the rock. "Ethan," she said quietly. "That's your name, isn't it?" He nodded. "Yeah, Ethan Hale, Lieutenant, United Human Fleet, or at least, I used to be," she smiled faintly. "Then I owe my life to a human soldier named Ethan." He met her gaze, his voice soft. "Let's just call it even. You're still breathing, and I've still got someone to talk to." The faintest warmth flickered between them, fragile but real. Two enemies who were never meant to meet, sharing one quiet moment on a dead world. And though neither said it aloud, both felt it in their hearts. The war beyond the clouds suddenly seemed smaller. By the next morning, the air of Vega 9 had turned cold. Gray dust floated through the wind like snow. The sun struggled to shine behind the black clouds left by burning ships. Ethan sat near the edge of the ruined clearing, checking the charge on his broken rifle. The power cell was almost empty, just like his food supply. He had no idea how long they could survive here. Liara was awake now, sitting by the remains of a fallen crystal tree. The soft glow from her skin was dimmer, but her breathing was calm. Her once perfect armor was cracked, showing faint silver veins beneath her pale surface. She looked fragile, yet there was quiet strength in her eyes. Ethan glanced at her and spoke carefully. "You should rest. That wound may have closed, but I'm not sure it's gone for good." She smiled faintly. "You sound like a healer." He shook his head. "I'm just a mechanic with a gun. I fix machines, not people." Liara tilted her head slightly. And yet you fixed me. Ethan didn't reply. He didn't have an answer that made sense. Instead, he focused on the horizon, where black smoke still curled into the sky. The war was still out there somewhere above. Ships were still fighting, men and women were still dying. And here he was, sitting beside someone who should have been his enemy. After a long silence, Liara spoke again. You hate my kind, don't you? Ethan sighed, lowering his weapon. I used to. After what your people did to our colonies, who wouldn't? The Arkel destroyed whole cities. My home base on Ardent was one of them. Thousands died. Her silver eyes dimmed. I'm sorry, she whispered. We were told your people attacked first, that humans wanted to expand into our holy systems. Ethan laughed bitterly. That's what they told us too. Defend humanity from alien invaders. Maybe both sides were lied to. Liara's expression softened, but her voice trembled. Not everyone in my empire wanted war. My mother, the queen, believed in peace. She tried to stop the council from ordering attacks. They called her weak. Ethan turned to face her, curious. What happened to her? Liara's gaze lowered. She was betrayed by her own generals. They wanted power. I was part of her last diplomatic mission, before they ambushed us in orbit. My ship fell here. I was left behind to die. Her voice cracked on the last word and she looked away quickly, hiding her tears. Ethan's chest tightened. He had seen soldiers cry before, but this was different. There was something painfully human about her grief. He placed a hand gently on her shoulder. You didn't deserve that. Liara looked at his hand, then at his face. Why do you care? I am the daughter of your enemy. Because no one deserves to be thrown away. He said quietly, not human, not Arkel. You didn't start this war. For a moment, she just stared at him, eyes glimmering with confusion and something else, hope. Then a faint laugh escaped her lips. You are strange, Ethan Hale. No human has ever spoken to me like this. Guess I'm not like most humans, he said with a grin. They shared a small silence, warm and uneasy at once. Liara looked at him again, studying his face. The tired lines, the small scar by his eye, the stubborn spark that refused to die even here. Your people fight because they fear us, she said softly. But maybe they never tried to understand you. Fear makes people do stupid things, Ethan replied. I've seen soldiers burn whole towns just because someone told them the enemy was a monster. Liara closed her eyes. And I've seen my own people cheer as they destroyed human ships. They called it glory. I called it madness. Ethan leaned back against the tree trunk, staring up at the gray sky. Maybe that's what we both are now. Two tired souls who are done with madness. Liara's lips curved into a small, sad smile. If the others knew what we were doing, talking like this, they would call us traitors. Let them, Ethan said. We're alive. That's all that matters for now. As the wind carried the ashes of a broken world around them, the human and the alien princess sat side by side, sharing stories of their worlds, stories filled with pain, but also with light. And in that quiet moment, something began to grow between them, something that neither weapon nor war could destroy. It wasn't friendship yet. It wasn't love either. It was understanding. The first fragile bridge between two worlds that had only ever known hate. For 2 quiet days, the ruins of Vega 9 slept. The sky was a dull gray, the air heavy with the smell of metal and burned soil. Ethan and Liara had built a small shelter from broken ship panels and shattered trees. It wasn't much, just a place to rest, to breathe, and to forget the war outside. Ethan spent his mornings scavenging for supplies. Food packs from wrecked pods, scraps of fabric for bandages, batteries that still had some life left. Liara helped however she could. Her strength was slowly returning, though she moved carefully, still weak from her wounds. Sometimes when she watched him work, she smiled softly, as if trying to understand the strange way humans survived with their hands, with their stubbornness. One evening, as the pale light faded into the smoky dusk, Liara sang. Her voice was soft, fragile, yet filled with something Ethan hadn't heard in years. Peace. The song wasn't in any human language, but it carried feelings he could still understand. Sorrow, hope, and longing. When she finished, Ethan clapped quietly. That was beautiful, he said. She looked down shyly. It's an old Arkel prayer. My mother used to sing it during the long nights. Ethan smiled faintly. Guess we both have ghosts we're trying to forget. Liara's gaze lingered on him. You carry sadness in your eyes, human. Who did you lose? He hesitated, staring into the dim horizon. My brother. He was a pilot. His ship was destroyed in the first Arkel attack. I never found his body. Liara bowed her head. I'm sorry. I know those words mean little, but I am. Ethan looked at her, seeing not the enemy, but someone who understood pain the way he did. Before he could speak again, a faint metallic sound echoed through the ruins. Click. Whir. Ethan's instincts kicked in. He stood fast, scanning the shadows. Stay down, he whispered. Liara froze, sensing the same danger. A faint blue light swept over the broken stones, followed by the humming of engines. Drones, sleek, silver, and alive with Arkel markings, hovered between the trees. Her eyes widened. They've found me, Ethan cursed under his breath. How many? 3 scout drones. More will come soon. He grabbed his rifle, checked the energy level, barely 10%. You can walk? Liara nodded weakly. Yes, but I cannot fight. Then run, Ethan said. I'll cover you. The drone spotted movement and fired. Beams of blue light cut through the air, burning the ground beside them. Ethan pushed Liara forward. They ran through the maze of ruins, ducking under fallen towers, jumping over cracked steel. Ethan turned once, fired 2 shots, and hit one drone square in the core. It exploded in a burst of light. Keep moving, he shouted. Liara stumbled, her legs scraping against sharp metal, but she didn't stop. The second drone fired again, the blast grazing Ethan's arm. Pain shot through his body, but he gritted his teeth and kept running. They reached a collapsed tunnel. In here, he said. They slipped inside just as another beam scorched the entrance. The air inside smelled of rust and smoke. Liara pressed a hand to his arm. You're bleeding. It's nothing, Ethan said, wincing. We need to take out the last one before it signals for reinforcements. Liara closed her eyes, focusing. Its energy pattern is close. I can sense it. Ethan gave her a small, tired grin. Then tell me where to aim. She pointed toward a hole in the wall. There. Ethan waited until the faint hum grew louder. He took a deep breath, aimed, and fired his last shot. The beam hit the drone right as it passed the tunnel. It crashed in flames, lighting the ruins with blue fire. The silence that followed was thick and heavy. Only the soft crackle of burning metal remained. Ethan fell to one knee, breathing hard. Liara rushed to him, panic in her voice. You're hurt. He smiled weakly. I've had worse. She placed her glowing hand on his wound, and once again warmth spread through his skin. The pain faded, replaced by the strange golden light that always came when they touched. When the glow faded, Liara whispered, You risked your life for me again. Why? He met her gaze. Because you're not just some alien princess anymore. You're someone who deserves to live. Her lips trembled, and for a moment her eyes filled with tears. You don't know what that means to me, Ethan Hale. He smiled faintly. I think I do. Outside, the sky burned with the reflection of distant battles. But in that small dark tunnel, 2 enemies sat side by side, tired, wounded yet alive. For the first time, Liara felt safe. And for the first time in years, Ethan felt that maybe, just maybe, the war hadn't taken everything from him. The following days passed slowly on Vega 9. The war in the sky had drifted to another sector, leaving only silence and smoke behind. For the first time, Ethan and Liara were alone in a world too damaged to care who was human or Arkel. They made the wrecked tunnel their home. Ethan repaired a broken energy cell and built a small heater from scraps. It gave them light during the long nights when the temperature dropped to freezing. Liara helped clean the shelter, her delicate fingers moving with grace, though she still tired quickly. Sometimes she would hum the soft melodies of her people while Ethan worked, her voice echoing through the metal walls like something holy. At first, Ethan tried to keep things practical, food, water, survival, but the quiet had a strange way of opening hearts. Slowly, their talks grew longer. He told her about Earth, about oceans that went on forever, about trees taller than ships, about rain that smelled like life instead of ash. Liara listened with wide, curious eyes. Your world sounds beautiful, she said softly. So full of color. It was, Ethan replied, staring into the heater's light. But war took the color from everything. Now it's just survival, she smiled gently. Maybe that is why your touch heals. You still carry life, even in a dying world. Her words hit something deep inside him. He had never thought of it that way. Maybe his strange gift wasn't just an accident. It was a reminder that even broken things could still give life. One morning, Ethan found a signal flickering on his communicator, a weak, human distress beacon. His heart jumped. "Someone's alive," he said. "Human survivors?" Liara looked up from where she was cleaning a damaged data core. "Will you go?" "I have to," he said. "They could be stranded like me." Liara's face changed, something between fear and sadness. "If they find me, they will kill me, won't they?" Ethan hesitated. He knew she was right. The humans wouldn't hesitate to shoot an Arkel, even one unarmed. "I'll come back for you," he said. "I promise," her silver eyes shimmered. "No human has ever promised such a thing to one of my kind." He smiled faintly. "Then I'll be the first." She reached out, her hand trembling, and touched his wrist. "Be careful, Ethan Hale." "I always am," he lied. He left her shelter with a half-charged rifle and an old helmet that barely worked. The journey through the wasteland was harsh. Winds howled across the cracked land, and the ground still pulsed with radiation from fallen ships. Every step felt like walking through ghosts. After hours of searching, he found the crash site, an old human shuttle, its wings broken, smoke still curling from the engines. Two figures crawled out when they saw him. "Soldiers, human Marines, Lieutenant Hale?" One gasped, staring in disbelief. "We thought you were dead." Ethan almost smiled. "Guess I'm too stubborn." They helped him inside. The soldiers were battered, one with a broken leg. Ethan shared his rations, told them about the area. But when he mentioned that he'd been hiding in the ruins, their expressions changed. "Alone?" the commander asked sharply. Ethan hesitated. "Not exactly." The older Marine frowned. "You mean with one of them?" Ethan's jaw tightened. "She's not the enemy. She was dying. I saved her." The commander's voice turned cold. "You helped an Arkel? A royal no less? You should have finished the job." Ethan stepped closer, anger rising in his chest. "She's not like the others." "She wants peace," the man sneered. "Peace doesn't win wars." Before Ethan could argue, the soldiers powered up their weapons. "You'll take us to her," the commander ordered. "Alive if possible. She'll be useful for information." Ethan's blood ran cold. "And if I refuse?" "Then we'll assume you're a traitor," the commander said flatly. Ethan stood still for a long time, his fists clenched. His mind raced. He couldn't fight them, not alone. But he also couldn't betray Liara, not after everything. Finally, he nodded slowly. "Fine, I'll take you to her." As he led them through the broken forest, his chest ached with guilt. Every step felt heavier. He kept telling himself he could protect her somehow. Maybe warn her in time, maybe stop them. But deep down he knew the truth. He was leading killers straight to the only person in the galaxy who had shown him kindness. And as the ruins of Vega 9 came into sight, Ethan whispered under his breath, "Forgive me." "Liara!" Ethan walked ahead of the soldiers, his boots crunching over the dust and bones of Vega 9. The wind carried the faint scent of smoke, and the sky burned red from the planet's dying sun. Every step closer to the tunnel felt like betrayal pressing down on his soul. He had promised her he would return. He had promised to protect her. Yet now armed men followed in his shadow, ready to hunt the very life he had sworn to keep safe. "Are you sure she's still here?" the commander asked behind him. Ethan nodded stiffly. "She's weak. She can't move far." The man grinned coldly. "Good, easier to capture." Ethan's stomach turned. He kept his head low so they wouldn't see the storm in his eyes. Inside, every nerve screamed for him to turn around, to stop them. But 3 trained soldiers against 1 exhausted man, that was suicide. When they reached the edge of the canyon where the tunnel lay hidden, Ethan paused. The heater light still glowed faintly from inside. She was there. She trusted him enough to keep it burning. He turned to the soldiers. "I'll go first." "She's frightened easily. If you rush in, she'll panic." The commander frowned. 5 minutes, Hale, then we follow. Don't try anything stupid." Ethan nodded and slipped inside the tunnel. The air was warm, and the faint hum of the energy cell filled the space. Liara sat near the heater, humming softly, unaware of the danger creeping toward her. When she looked up and saw him, her eyes brightened like stars. "You came back," she said, smiling with relief. Ethan froze. He wanted to tell her everything, to shout the warning, but the words stuck in his throat. His heart hammered painfully. "Liara," his voice cracked. "We have to go now." She tilted her head, sensing his fear. "What's wrong?" "They found me," he said. Humans, soldiers, they're coming. Her face went pale, the soft glow of her skin dimming. You led them here? He shook his head desperately. I didn't mean to. They forced me. I had no choice. Liara rose slowly, her fragile wings trembling. Ethan, you should have left me. My kind and yours were never meant to mix. Now you'll die for helping me. He stepped closer, grabbing her shoulders gently. I don't care. You deserve to live. You deserve peace. Before she could answer, a voice shouted from outside, Hail! Step away from the alien. Ethan spun toward the entrance. The soldiers had entered, weapons raised. The commander's face twisted with disgust as he saw Liara. So it's true, he sneered. You really saved her. The last Arkel princess, Liara stiffened. How do you know who I am? The commander smirked. Every soldier in this sector knows your face. You're the key to ending this war. Dead or alive? Ethan moved in front of her instinctively. You'll have to go through me. The commander's expression hardened. Then you're no longer one of us. A blast echoed through the tunnel. Ethan felt heat brush past his arm as plasma bolts struck the walls. Liara screamed, ducking behind him. He fired back, his old rifle shaking in his hands. One soldier went down, but the others advanced fast. Ethan, stop, she cried. You'll die. Better me than you, he shouted, firing again. A bolt struck his chest, sending him crashing to the floor. Pain ripped through him, fire and ice spreading across his body. He gasped, his vision dimming. Ethan! Liara crawled to him, her hands glowing faintly. She pressed them over his wound, her tears falling on his face. No, please. But something strange happened. Her healing light flickered and his body began to glow back. The same blue radiance that had healed her before now spread through him stronger than ever. The soldiers froze, shielding their eyes. The air trembled as light filled the tunnel. Ethan's breath steadied, his wound sealing beneath her touch. But the glow did not stop. It grew brighter and brighter, until it felt like the planet itself was watching. Then in a voice that shook the air, Liara whispered, You are not just human, Ethan. You carry the old spark, the life force that connects worlds. The soldiers fired again, panicked. Ethan stood, glowing with a light that was neither human nor alien. The bolts hit him and vanished. He looked at them, his voice calm but filled with something unearthly. Leave her. Go. The commander hesitated, but when Ethan stepped forward, light burning from his eyes, fear overtook reason. They dropped their weapons and fled into the storm outside. As silence returned, Ethan's light began to fade. He fell to his knees, breathing heavily. Liara caught him before he could fall. You saved me again, she whispered, tears on her cheeks. He smiled weakly. Guess I'm getting used to it, but she could feel it, something inside him had changed. The energy that had saved him was draining fast. And deep down she knew the truth. Ethan Hale had paid a price for his gift. A price that might soon cost him his life. The storm raged outside the tunnel, dust and lightning swirling in the sky like the planet itself was mourning. Inside, the air was thick with silence and the soft sound of Ethan's breathing. He lay against Liara's lap, his skin pale, his heartbeat weak. The glow that had once healed them both now flickered faintly under his chest, like a dying ember refusing to go out. Liara held him close, trembling. Ethan, stay with me, she whispered, brushing his hair from his forehead. Please. He gave a small smile. Still bossing me around, huh? Tears fell from her silver eyes. You can't fade now. Not after all this. He tried to lift his hand, fingers brushing her cheek. Looks like I gave too much, he said softly. Guess this power isn't meant for one person. Liara shook her head. No, it's not just power. It's life. It's hope. You are the first human to carry the light of the ancients. It should not die here. Outside, thunder cracked and the faint rumble of engines echoed from the distance. Ships, maybe more soldiers, or maybe something worse. Vega 9 was collapsing, both in land and spirit. Liara looked toward the tunnel's exit, fear crossing her face. They will come again, she said, and this time they won't run. Ethan tried to rise, but his body refused to move. Then you have to go, he said. You can still fly, can't you? She smiled sadly, shaking her head. My wings are weak. They can't carry me through the storm. Ethan closed his eyes for a moment. He remembered all the times he'd fixed broken machines with his hands, how he could bring them back to life with patience and care. But this time it wasn't a machine, it was her. And he couldn't let her die here. Slowly, painfully, he took her hands in his. Then take it, he whispered. Whatever I have left. The light! Take it and live. Her eyes widened in horror. No, if I take it, you will die, he smiled faintly. Then I'll finally keep my promise to make sure you survive. Liara shook her head, sobbing. I can't. You've already given too much. Your soul can't take another loss. But Ethan's grip tightened. You once said my touch heals because I still carry life. Maybe that's all I was meant to do, to give it back. The glow between their palms began to rise again, brighter than before. She tried to pull away, but he held on, his voice trembling. Don't fight it. Live, Liara, please. Light burst through the tunnel, washing over the stone walls, the broken heater, the shattered helmet scattered on the floor. It was warm, not the blinding light of a weapon, but the soft warmth of sunrise after a long night. Liara felt her strength returning, her body renewed, her wings unfolding fully for the first time since she fell from the sky. She gasped, feeling the power rushing through her veins. But when she looked,